We're launching this new organization for several reasons. We want to continue exploring and documenting our incredible ancient forests and heritage trees and the destruction by the clear-cut logging that's taking place on the island, ruining our ancient forest heritage. We also will continue in the grassroots education and mobilization here in Victoria to ensure that we protect ancient forests and forestry jobs. We're calling on the BC Liberal government to undertake several things. We're asking the government to undertake a provincial old growth strategy which would inventory and protect old growth forests where they're scarce, for example on Vancouver Island, Lower Mainland, the southern interior, to ensure the sustainable logging of second growth forests, which are the vast majority of forests in southern British Columbia, to end the export of raw logs to foreign mills so we can ensure a guaranteed log supply for BC wood processing facilities, to assist in the retooling and development of mills and value-added facilities that can handle second growth logs, because most of the mills are still tooled towards old growth, and to undertake new land use planning initiatives that involve First Nations land use plans, that involve ecosystem-based scientific assessments, and that include climate change mitigation strategies around protecting forests. This organization will also be different in that it does not have charitable status, and it will not have charitable status. We will not seek charitable status. This allows us to hit hard and also to give strong rewards when it comes to the politicians and political parties around their policies around ancient forests and forestry jobs. We're not going to be handcuffed by the restrictions entailed by charitable status. That way, we can let it call it as it is, to let the people know that this politician has a very backward stance on ancient forests. You may not want to vote for him if you care about ancient forests, and this politician or this party here has a very progressive stance on ancient forests and forestry jobs. Because if we fast forward 10 to 15 years at the way things are going on Vancouver Island, with the ancient forest liquidation, with the shaving off of second growth forests for raw log exports here on eastern and southern Vancouver Island, we are eventually going to end up like most of the jurisdictions in the planet. That which makes us special will be lost if we continue down the path of BC Liberal government policies. And we will call it as we see it, because we no longer will have the handcuffs of charitable status. And this organization will also fill a void. And the Western Canada Wilderness Committee's Victoria office, its old growth campaign, its 3 forest campaigners, its storefront, and its website will be closed shortly. Not my decision. And I believe that it's important that we continue to educate and mobilize the people of Victoria, who are the most environmentally conscious people, based on local environmental issues by local campaigners who know the local people and the local areas. This is an organization which I'm excited to launch. It delays a little bit of my traveling plans. I was planning to go traveling for a while, and I also am helping Elizabeth May right now on the federal level. But there's a lot of good things in store, and we have a lot of talent.
Ken, you mentioned the fact that WC Squared is essentially downsizing its old growth forest campaign, and I understand it's going to close the storefront office. Although not the office itself in Victoria. Can you provide a little bit more detail around that?
Yeah, well, this is a summary as was conveyed to the staff in December. I was gone to Copenhagen at the time, but the Vancouver executives have stated that they plan to close the Victoria-based old growth campaign. They'll continue their old growth campaign in Vancouver. They plan to not replace or eliminate basically the 3 forest campaigning positions in the office. The campaign director, the forest and marine campaigner, i.e. junior campaigner, and the campaign assistant position. They plan to close the storefront, which was a very important place not only for fundraising but also as a means to interact with the bigger community. Thousands of people in Victoria kind of had their interface with the environmental movement through that little storefront. And closing the website, which was a high traffic website. All organizations have their internal politics, but the main thing is you can spend your time fighting in an organization, or you can spend your time fighting for the environment. And I choose the latter. I think it's important that we continue the Ancient Forest campaign based on local campaigners who know the local areas and who know the local people. We've built a relationship with thousands of people in Victoria. This is a center. If you think about the planet where the strongest environmental concerns are, you might think of a few places in California, maybe a few places in Oregon, maybe some parts of Germany. Victoria stands out in this country and in the world as a real stronghold of conscious people who like the outdoors, and a huge part of that is because they are connected to hiking and seeing ancient forests. So if you wait too long without campaigning around these issues, you do lose some of the political momentum and the grassroots momentum. And we've got 1 million hectares of old-growth forest at stake on the south coast, and I'm not willing to let the corporations and government go unchallenged on their policies out of Victoria here.
What was the justification for those changes?
You can ask them about their motivations around the whole thing, but whatever, I don't want to speculate on anyone's motivations, but whatever the reasons are, the point is the net effect is, I believe, not to the benefit of the environment. If you look at the history of the Western Canada Wilderness Committee in Victoria, it has been a fundamentally important part of the environmental movements of the environmental movement in Victoria. It's been a fixture of the environmental movement of this province. Like, this is long before me. It played a fundamental role in saving the public lands in the Soo Hills, later on in establishing the Parks Levy that helped to protect the private lands in the Soo Hills. We were able to kill the government's Working Forest initiative a few years ago. We've staved off offshore oil and gas development from BC's coast when Campbell said that he'd have the oil rigs in place by the Olympics in 2010. Now, clearly that's not going to happen, and the grassroots organizing largely came out of this city, out of the Wilderness Committee, in conjunction with other partners. We stopped the Malahat Highway expansion going through the old-growth forest of Goldstream Provincial Park. There's been a lot of important aspects highly important aspects of the campaigns that have come out of the Victoria Wilderness Committee office. The office will continue. They're going to be replacing the 3 campaigner positions with a marine campaigner and a outreach support worker. But certainly it'll be greatly downsized. And the old growth issue is one that the people of Victoria are totally connected to old growth forests. They go hiking, in old growth on their weekends. So I think we need to keep that going. And you know what? I can do it the way I really want to do it. And when the BC Liberals take a stance that old growth forests are not endangered on Vancouver Island, despite all the satellite photo evidence, despite everything that everybody knows just by driving the back roads, then we've got to say it as it is, that this BC Liberal candidate, Ida Chong, this BC Liberal candidate, Murray Cole, should not get elected if you care about old growth forests. We can say that now. But if they do the right thing, I will say, thank you, Pat Bell. Pat Bell has done a good thing, and Gordon Campbell has done a good thing, because they have saved the old growth forests of Vancouver Island, like they will in 2013.
Do you have any funding for this organization yet?
Nope, this is completely new. This is we've just launched it now, and in fact, the only thing we have right now is just the skeletal structure of an organization. I've just been sort of contemplating what to do in the last week and a half, really. And so all we have at this point in time, the BC Registry Office has confirmed that we have the name, the Ancient Forest Alliance. We have, a Gmail account. We have the knowledge base and the relationships that we've developed as individuals with thousands of people in Victoria to move this campaign forward.
Is it going to be harmful, do you think, to the movement? There's obviously a split here, however much you're papering over it.
Yep.
Is it going to be harmful?
You know what? A split only really takes course depending on the actions of the people. It has to be known that the Victoria Office's old growth campaign is going to be eliminated now. I mean, pretty much just about everyone's gone now from the organization in Victoria. But at this point, my focus is on a positive alternative so that we can keep the old growth campaign going. It is, I believe, a monumental waste of time to engage in the endless bickering and infighting and back and forths, because that's time and energy that you spend, which you could spend in engaging and mobilizing a lot more people. So it is a fact that there's a niche, a void that needs to be filled. I've pointed that out, but at this point it's time to move on. It's time to build an alternative, and great things often come out of these scenarios, and I believe you're doing good.